My parents mocked. When will your kids ever catch up to your sisters? My sister smirked. Maybe in 10 years. I just smiled and said, then I'm done paying your mortgage. Hours later, the calls wouldn't stop. Finally, my sister texted, please. I replied with 4 words, wait another 10 years. Can you imagine pouring your heart and soul into your own family, only to have your parents and sister openly mock your kids at a Sunday dinner? And what if, for years, you've been secretly bankrolling that very sister's entire lavish existence, all while she condescendingly dismissed yours? This isn't just another tale of family squabbles. It's a visceral account of drawing a line in the sand and the earth-shattering truth that erupted when I finally declared, enough. My name is Daniel. I'm 35, and frankly, I've always been the anchor. You know the type. The middle child who meticulously catalogs everyone's allergies, arrives bearing extra folding chairs, intuitively diagnoses the misbehaving router, assembles flat-pack furniture without a single uttered curse, and always has spare phone chargers secreted in the glove compartment. I've shared a decade of incredible life with Lena, my amazing wife. We've been blessed with 2 remarkable children. Max, 8, who collects rocks he actually apologizes to when they accidentally slip from his grasp, and June, 5, who with unwavering conviction believes every single dog she encounters is named Kevin. My days are spent teaching math at a community college and my evenings tutoring high schoolers. It's not a glamorous existence, but it's honest. It pays the bills. That is, when the bills decide to behave. Then there's my older sister, Tessa. She's perpetually been the gilded child, a marketing director whose Instagram photos showcase a smile so aggressively perfect it could cut glass. My younger brother, Leo, simply drifts through various gigs, consistently appearing bewildered when rent becomes due. My parents? They orbit Tessa as if she were their personal son. It's been this way since our childhood. Her school projects felt like exclusive gallery openings. Mine always garnered a great, but keep pushing. Leo once strummed 3 chords on a guitar, and suddenly, we were always a musical family. This backdrop, this history, is crucial because of what unfolded last Sunday. It was a potluck at my parents' house. Paper plates, yes, but the expensive, textured kind. My dad's ancient speakers softly hummed classic rock. Tessa, naturally, arrived fashionably late, clutching cupcakes from some exorbitant bakery, presenting them as if they were freshly minted Olympic medals. She immediately launched into a monologue about her twins' robotics club and their travel soccer team, rattling off achievements like fluctuating stock prices. My mom's eyes gleamed, that special glint they reserved exclusively for Tessa's triumphs. My dad nodded with such vigorous enthusiasm, I momentarily feared for his neck. Lena, my steadfast wife, had brought her comforting chicken and rice. I, predictably, provided a robust salad. Max and June, meanwhile, were a whirlwind of pure, unadulterated joy, chasing each other in dizzying circles around the coffee table. The delightful chaos persisted until my mom interjected, careful with the vase, delivered in that saccharine tone that truly means, your children are a destructive hurricane. Tessa's twins, in stark contrast, sat perfectly still on the couch, heads bowed over their tablets, the blue light casting an almost angelic halo around their impeccably composed postures. Dinner was a boisterous tapestry of sound, jumbled stories, updates on distant cousins, a neighbor's roof disaster, my dad's tired, decade-old rant about kids today. I simply chewed, offered polite smiles, and diligently refilled water glasses. That's my customary role, you see, the silent keeper of the peace when the tension hums like a faulty refrigerator. Then my mom, with a voice brightened by an almost theatrical performance energy, asked the question, the one that opened the floor like a trapdoor. So, Daniel, she began, when will your kids ever be as successful as Tessa's kids? I blinked, my fork frozen halfway to my mouth. Mom, I stammered, they're 8 and 5. Tessa's lips curled into a smirk, a cruel, meme-worthy caricature of a smile. Probably in 10 years, she quipped, snapping a selfie with a cupcake. Kidding, kind of. My dad actually chuckled. She's not wrong. Lena's hand found my knee under the table, a silent lifeline. I heard the scrape of my chair as I shifted. I heard June innocently ask Max if she could trade carrots for a roll. And then I heard the ocean in my ears, my blood pressure putting on its own dramatic show. It's not a competition I manage because I always start soft. Tessa tilted her head, a practiced, almost dismissive gesture. Everything's a competition, Daniel. How else do you measure growth? We just want the best for your kids, my mom added, her voice laced with that sweet, poisonous concern. Maybe a little more ambition. I smiled. A small, tight thing that felt like a taped-up box. Inside, my mind was screaming. I yearned to tell them about my students who, emboldened by my encouragement, text me at 11 p.m. about factoring polynomials because I carve out space for them when no one else does. I wanted to tell them Max had mastered tying his shoes just yesterday, and a surge of pride had nearly brought me to tears. I wanted to tell them we couldn't afford to enroll our children in 3 travel teams because travel costs money, money that mysteriously vanished in the same direction every single month. Instead, I just swallowed. Who want coffee? I asked, desperate to change the suffocating subject, to escape. As I rose to prepare it, Tessa tossed another casual barb, light as air. Do you think Max would be more focused if he spent less time with those silly rocks? I glanced at my mom. She feigned adjusting the salt shaker. My dad smiled vaguely at his plate. Lena's fingers pressed my knee once, just once. I'm here, it said. That was the first trigger. I didn't react. Not yet. I poured coffee, passed sugar, laughed at all the appropriate moments. I drove home, my jaw clenched so tightly it ached. Later, after the children were finally asleep, I sat alone at our dining table, hands cupped around a lukewarm mug, staring at the wall clock I neglected to fix for 3 months. It clicked unevenly. I just listened. I counted. I tried to decide what truly counted most, peace or pride, money or our kids hearing they were lagging in a race they hadn't even signed up for. I didn't declare war that night. I brushed my teeth, climbed into bed, and convinced myself it was nothing. But in the morning, that question still sat inside my chest, heavy as a stone. The truth is, it wasn't about the twins or the cupcakes. It was about 10 years of a quiet arrangement that had long ceased to feel quiet. When Tessa bought her house, it was a stretch for her. She broadcast a group text with a photo of keys clutched in her manicured hand. Manifested, she'd written. 2 months later, she called me, breathless. Daniel, we hit a snag. Temporary something with escrow. An investor pulling out. I'll pay you back. I just need a bridge for a few months. I believed her. I always do. She cried on the phone, a sound like gentle rain against a window pane. I said yes. A few months metastasized into a year, then 2, then 5. You know how bridges sometimes become highways. She set up a temporary auto transfer from my account to her mortgage, $1,150 on the 3rd of every month. I rationalized it as a family thing, a season. She'd recover. She'd catch up. We'd laugh about it someday. Every time I gently nudged, she'd reply, next quarter, I promise. Or bonus season is weird this year. Or the classic, we're good for it. Lena knew. Of course she did. We share a bank account and a bed and a life. We had made a pact. We'd help until we couldn't. But couldn't became a slippery slope. We pared down our groceries. We stretched shoes for 1 more month. We informed Max that soccer was once a week, and June's dance was the free Saturday class. We clung to our aging car, far past the point of sensible replacement. We perpetually postponed vacations. We carved out tiny luxuries from life's hidden corners. Library books, sun-drenched park days, half-price ice cream. I watched Lena transform 4 chicken breasts into 6 meals with a blend of magic, meticulous planning, and a spreadsheet she lovingly christened Stretch. My parents knew too. They never uttered a thank you. They simply offered pronouncements like family supports family, and we're so proud of how close you kids are, a remarkably polite way of saying, we enjoy the benefits. When Tessa flaunted photos of her kitchen remodel, marble so blindingly white it could trigger migraines, my mom commented, stunning, accompanied by 17 heart emojis. She did not, however, text me privately to inquire about our well-being. When I covered a medical bill for June's ear tube surgery, I received a heart emoji in response to a photo of June wearing a sticker, followed by a link from my mom to Tessa's HOA newsletter regarding the neighborhood block party. Call me stupid. I call myself that in the shower more than once. I confess to the tiles, it's temporary. To the mirror, it's family. To the ceiling, it's not that much. And then I'd watch our savings crawl forward at the pace of an injured snail. The smaller indignities accumulated like forgotten receipts in a junk drawer. Tessa never contributed dishes to potlucks, only desserts, always meticulously labeled with her name. When she took the kids to a trampoline park, she charged the tickets to my card because I'd forgotten my wallet, then Venmo'd me $12 with a sparkle emoji and the note for smiles. The mortgage transfer was a silent, insidious drain. The little indignities were loud, constant reminders. Together, they built a rhythm where I paid, and everyone else lauded me as generous. Lena remained my unwavering constant, which is her true gift. She'd simply ask, "You okay?" when she caught me staring at the banking app as if it held the key to a grim prophecy. And I'd reply, "Yeah," because sometimes telling the truth felt like igniting a match in a paper house. One night, she said gently, "We can stop." I said, "After summer." Then summer arrived, and Tessa's twins needed camp money to keep them engaged, and I felt like the unwilling villain in a story I hadn't authored. My parents maintained their incessant chorus. "Tessa works so hard." My mom would declare at least twice per phone call. "She deserves nice things." I'd respond, "So does everyone." She'd snap back, "Don't be bitter." I wasn't. Not precisely. I was just profoundly, bone-wearily exhausted. Every month, on the 2nd, I felt my shoulders involuntarily creep towards my ears, as if trying to hide. On the 3rd, the transfer vanished. On the 4th, I recalibrated our budget like a car with chronic steering issues. I took on more tutoring. I told students, "Pay what you can," and I meant it. Then I'd stay up late, performing the agonizing arithmetic of our life. If you question why I didn't confront Tessa sooner, I have an answer I despise. Because holiday peace felt more expensive than money. Because my parents' approval is a currency I still hoard in a dusty jar, even if its coins are worthless in the real world. Because I genuinely like being the person who helped. Because, when we were children, Tessa once allowed me to shelter in her room when I was terrified by a thunderstorm. She spun stories until I drifted asleep. She was 14 and bored. I was 9 and shaking. Memory is a sticky thing. But then Sunday happened. That dinner. That question. When will your kids ever be as successful as Tessa's kids? Tessa's smirk. Probably in 10 years. The laughter, like the clinking of ice. Lena's hand on my knee. A spark. On the drive home, Lena was silent for 5 interminable minutes. Then, "I'm proud of our kids," she said. I nodded. "Me too." She waited. "Do you hear it?" she finally asked. "Hear what?" "The story they tell. The one where success looks like travel teams and a granite backsplash." I swallowed. "I hear it." She gazed out the window. "We need a new story." That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling fan. I pictured our bank account like a bathtub with a perpetual slow leak at the drain. I pictured Tessa's gleaming marble counters and the triumphant faces of my students when a complex concept finally clicked. I pictured Max meticulously lining up rocks by color and June whispering, "Good night, Kevin," to an actual dog whose name was decidedly not Kevin. I picture my parents' faces, delighted and radiant around Tessa, dim and managerial around me. In the morning, the stone remained heavy and round in my chest. I made breakfast. I packed lunches. I kissed the tops of small, messy heads. I drove to work with the radio off. During office hours, I explained compound interest to a nursing student who declared, "I'm bad at math." I looked at her and said, "You're not. You're underpracticed." And she smiled. I wrote practice on the board and thought about our life. That night, we had leftovers and popsicles. The kids dragged blankets into the living room and constructed an epic fort. As I watched them breathe in their fabric tent, I decided something quiet. Not a rage-fueled decision, but a math decision. I decided the bridge was closed. Breaking points are rarely loud, you know. Mine materialized at my parents' dining table with a glass of iced tea sweating onto a doily. It was the following Saturday. Tessa wanted to plan spring, which meant meticulously scheduling birthdays, games, vacations, photo shoots, and presents. My mom adores calendars as if they were her own grandchildren. We gathered at noon. I brought pasta salad. Tessa brought a meticulously organized timeline. Lena brought her infinite patience. We navigated through April and half of May before my dad, completely unprompted, interjected, "So, Daniel, what's the plan to get your kids into something more competitive?" He uttered competitive as if it tasted like money. I took a deep breath. "They're 8 and 5. He shrugged. "You're the teacher. You know early matters." My mom chimed in with a sing-song tone. "We just don't want them to fall behind your sister's kids." Tessa smiled into her water glass. "They'll catch up," she murmured. "Maybe in 10 years. Lena's hand landed on my thigh like a paperweight, grounding me. The picture dripped. The doily soaked. The calendar waited. I put my pen down. "Then I'm done paying your mortgage," I said. It came out softer than I expected. Calm, not a threat. A weather report. The room pressed pause. My mom blinked. My dad's mouth formed a smile. Tessa's face flickered, shock, calculation, then charm, before she settled on a confused, innocent expression. "What are you talking about?" "The transfer on the 3rd, I clarified. "The one I've been making for 6 years." My mom's eyebrows climbed. "That's private family business." "I'm family," I said. "It's my business." Tessa laughed, a brittle sound. "It's temporary. We talked about this." "We did," I agreed. "I agreed to temporarily for a few months. We're at 6 years." She waved a hand dismissively. "You know, bonuses have been weird. My dad found his footing. You can't just stop without warning." "I can," I said, my voice unwavering. "And I am." My mom's voice sharpened. "We thought you were generous." "I am," I said. "Generous is not unlimited." Tessa leaned forward, an edge of genuine malice in her voice. "You're gonna make my kids pay for adult stuff? That's cruel." She glanced at my mom, as if they'd rehearsed this argument backstage. I shook my head. "I'm not making your kids do anything. I'm stopping doing a thing I shouldn't have been doing this long." "What changed?" my mom demanded. As if fairness were a switch I'd merely flipped off. I looked at Lena. She met my gaze. We both breathed. "I heard you," I said. "I heard you ask when my kids would ever be as successful as Tessa's kids. I heard all of you laugh. I heard probably in 10 years. And I realized I've been paying for a narrative that's hurting my family." "That's dramatic," my dad grumbled. "Maybe," I said, "but it's accurate." My mom pointed a finger. "We raised you, and I love you." I interrupted. "This isn't about revenge. This is about closure, about ending a pattern." Tessa tried another angle. "Okay, fine. Can you just give me until summer?" "No," I said. "Until June." "No?" She blinked, genuinely surprised. "Wow, power trip." I stood. Not a storm out, just simply standing. "I'll call the bank Monday. I'll remove the transfer. I'll send you the exact amount we've contributed so far, so you can plan. I'm not discussing it further." "Daniel," my mom hissed. "Family doesn't do this. Family also doesn't ask one sibling to fund another's lifestyle indefinitely," Lena said, her voice even and clear for the first time all afternoon. Everyone turned to her. She met my mom's furious eyes. "We have 2 kids we're raising well. We're not apologizing because they like rocks and library books more than tournaments." Silence. The kind that hums. Tessa's lips thinned. "You're going to feel really stupid when this ruins our relationship." "I hope not," I said. "I hope it saves it. But I'm okay if the only thing it saves is my kids' college fund." My dad rubbed his forehead. "You always were sensitive." "I always was a person," I said. We left before dessert. In the car, Lena exhaled one long, shuddering breath, like a balloon finally giving up its air. Max asked from the back seat, "Can we get slushies?" We did. They stained their tongues blue. We went home and built a fort that utilized every single blanket in the house. I lay under it and stared at the ceiling through the fabric, feeling an exquisite blend of terror and relief. Monday morning, I called the bank on my lunch break. I canceled the auto transfer. I asked the representative to confirm twice. She said, "You're all set." I said, "Thanks," as if I'd just performed delicate surgery on my own life. I sent Tessa a short email. Transfer canceled effective immediately. We've contributed $82,800 over 6 years. We can't continue. I wish you all planning around this. I kept it clean. No commentary, no math jokes. At 4 p.m., my phone began to buzz insistently. First came the calls you'd expect. Call me now. Are you serious? Answer your mother. I let them stack. Then the texts. We need to talk. You blindsided us. Your nieces have piano this week. You know the bank is strict. Wow. I didn't answer for an hour because I was teaching, because I wanted a sliver of control, and because Lena had simply said, "Give it a beat." When I finally checked, there were 14 missed calls. 9 from my mom, 3 from Tessa, 1 each from my dad and my aunt, who lives to narrate conflict. Then Tessa's text. "Please, just through summer." I typed, deleted, typed. I wrote 4 words, "Wait 10 more years." I hit send. It was petty. It was also brutally honest. She'd said 10 years. I placed my phone face down and graded quizzes. At 6 p.m., we sat down to dinner. Pasta, peas, garlic bread, made from the crust of a forgotten loaf. My phone buzzed in a frantic frenzy. I placed it on a high shelf. Max told me about a rock that looked exactly like a potato. June asked if potatoes were, in fact, rocks. Lena smiled with her mouth and her eyes. After we cleaned up, I retrieved my phone like it might bite. My mom, "How could you humiliate your sister like that?" I had sent the email only to Tessa. My dad, "This is between you kids." He meant, "You fix it so I can stay out of it." My aunt, "Honey, your mother is crying." My grandma, "Call me." Tessa, "You're cruel." Then, "I didn't realize you were keeping score." Then, "I'll pay you back." Then, "We'll talk tomorrow. You'll calm down." I crafted one message and sent it to our family group and, separately to my parents, ensuring no one could pretend they'd missed it. "I'm not available for negotiation. We helped for 6 years. We can't anymore. Please don't call Lena about this. If you need financial planning resources, I'll send some. I love you. This is a boundary." Minutes later, my mom called. I answered. She began with, "We are disappointed," delivered in her hushed, church-going voice. Then she tried, "We sacrificed so much for you," as if childhood receipts were a currency you could spend endlessly. Then she pivoted to, "You're ruining family harmony." I countered, "Family harmony is not one person paying silently while being mocked." She said, "Don't put words in my mouth." I said, "You put them there Sunday." There was a pause. Then she cried, the small, gasping kind which used to completely unravel me. It still tugged. I let it sit. When she calmed, I said, "We're okay, you and I, but I'm not changing my mind." She switched to logistics. "Tessa needs time." I said she's had time. My mom said, "You're making where we live everyone's business." I said, "I'm making my money my business." She said, "I didn't realize you were counting." I said, "That's how budgets work." We hung up with no neat ribbon tied. I locked my phone and felt a profound weariness settle into my bones. The next morning, Tessa texted, "We can do $200 a month till summer. You cover the rest." I read it twice. It felt like a parody. I replied, "No." She sent a screenshot of her mortgage account and wrote, "Look, I didn't," she wrote, "I've always been there for you," and listed things she considered evidence. Rides when we were teens, a hoodie she'd bought me once, a weekend she'd babysat our kids for 6 hours, but also posted 40 photos. I wrote, "I appreciate those. This is separate." She wrote, "You're unbelievable." My dad sent, "Let's be reasonable." I replied, "We're being reasonable." He wrote, "Your tone is disrespectful." I wrote, "So is Sunday." By lunch, I had 3 voicemails. One from my aunt, "Honey, be the bigger person." One from my grandma, "Families fight, then they eat cake." One from a number I didn't recognize, which turned out to be Tessa's husband, Evan. "Bro, we're tightening our belts, too. You're not the only one struggling." He then enumerated his struggles: a ski trip cancellation, a postponed patio upgrade, a nanny who wouldn't commit to full-time. I put my forehead on my desk and laughed into the wood, because sometimes the only alternative is pure, unadulterated rage. At 3 p.m., an email arrived, a past due notice. It was addressed to Tessa, but my address was CC because she'd used my email on a form once, and we'd never bothered to change it. I forwarded it to her with, "You got this." She replied, "Monster." I took a deep breath and did something that felt like a traitor's kindness. I typed up a bare-bones budget template and a list of resources: a reputable credit counselor, a community workshop, a book that had helped Lena and me. I sent it with, "If you want help building a plan, I'm available Tuesday and Thursday after 8. 10 minutes later, she wrote, "I'm not your student." That night, the family group chat attempted to pivot to humor. My mom posted a photo of her cat in a box. My dad sent a meme about Mondays on a Wednesday. No one mentioned the thing. Then, at 11 p.m., Tessa texted, "Fine. 1 month. Then you resume till Q4. I didn't reply. I set my phone to do not disturb and slept for 6 hours. Woke for a bit, then slept for 2 more. It felt like breaking a fever. The fallout spread like receding water. My mom cooled. She granted me 2 days of silence, then texted, "Dinner Sunday." I asked, "Are we going to rehash?" She wrote, "No." We went. It was muted. Tessa stayed away. My dad discussed the weather like it owed him money. My mom served lasagna and declared to the air, "Some people think boundaries mean doors." I said they do. A week later, Tessa called Lena directly. That crossed the line. Lena texted the family chat, "Please direct all financial questions to Daniel. I won't be part of triangulation." My respect for my wife, already sky high, absolutely shattered the scale. My mom wrote, "We don't use therapy words in this family," which is ironically the most therapy-centric sentence I've ever encountered. Tessa posted a story with a quote about betrayal from within over a sepia picture of coffee. Her friends commented with hearts. I muted her for 30 days. I braced for the cousins. 2 reached out privately. One wrote, "Proud of you, man. We thought we were the only ones fronting stuff." Another wrote, "I love Tessa, but yes, that felt like a blanket over cold shoulders." At the end of the month, my banking app did not display a transfer on the 3rd. It showed our balance, sitting still. I stared at the number like it might sprout legs. I transferred $300 to our savings and labeled it Fort. I took Max to the rock shop with $10. He chose 3 rocks and paid proudly. June picked a pink one and named it Kevin. We got ice cream, full price. The next bill cycle, Tessa made the payment late, then on time, then late again. She sent me a screenshot each time, as if I were a coach grading her progress. I sent a thumbs up. At one point, she texted, "Are you happy watching me struggle?" I wrote, "I don't watch you. I'm raising my family. You can do hard things." She wrote, "Don't therapize me." I wrote, "Okay." My parents attempted different tactics. Guilt, "We're disappointed." Flattery, "You're so responsible." Minimization, "It's not that much, darling." Duty, "We're your parents." Shame, "People will talk." Nostalgia, "Remember when I made a small script and stuck to it? I love you." We helped for 6 years. We're done. This isn't punishment. This is a boundary. It felt robotic sometimes. That helped. 2 months in, we sat with a banker to open a separate account for the kids' college. The banker asked what we wanted to name it. Lena said Future. I said Fort. We compromised. Future Fort. We deposited $100, then $50 more when I got paid for a Saturday SAT boot camp. It was small. It was also enormous. We told the kids in our own way. "We're saving for later," I said at bedtime. "Like snacks." June asked. "Like snacks," I said. "A lot of snacks called tuition," Lena added from the hallway. Max asked if college has rocks. "It has geology," I said, and he whispered, "Cool," like a prayer. The 3rd month, my mom asked if we help with groceries. I said, "We could bring a dish Sunday." She said, "That's not the same." I said, "I know." She hung up gently, which felt like progress. Then, unexpectedly, Tessa called on a Tuesday night. "I made a budget," she said, defensive. "I hate it." I said, "They're not love letters." She blew out a breath. "Can you look?" We did on Zoom. No jokes, no jabs. We cut the patio upgrade. We paused the nanny. We kept piano once a week. We even found $480 she didn't know she had because subscriptions are sneaky. When we hung up, she said unwillingly, "Thanks." I said, "Proud of you." She said, "Don't." I said, "Okay." She cried for 10 seconds, then hung up. It didn't fix everything. It moved something. There wasn't a magical group hug or a perfect apology. The story just shifted. My parents still boast about Tessa's twins tournaments. I still bring folding chairs. But now, when someone asks, when will your kids be as successful as Tessa's? I say they already are. They're kind and curious. Then I change the subject by asking who needs more salad. Tessa still posts about her hustle. I still mute her occasionally. But she also texts me an actual question once a month. How do you set up autopay? Can you explain APR? Is Costco a trap? Yes. I answer if I have the bandwidth. I say no if I don't. It doesn't end the world. Lena and I added a new line to our kitchen whiteboard. Say no early. It's a reminder and a joke. We say yes to the library, to rocks, to park picnics, to movie nights under blankets, and to pasta with too much garlic. We say no to funding other people's stories at the price of ours. It's been a wild ride, and honestly, the peace in our home is priceless. Now, what would you have done in my place? Have you ever had to draw a really tough boundary with family? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts.